Whether you're a fan of Gordon Ryan or you think he's an annoying cringe lord, you have to admit he is the best no-gi grappler on the planet. But why? Why is he so good? Well, there are actually a few things that make Gordon Ryan so dominant, and we'll look at a few today. And I know as soon as I start talking about Gordon Ryan being good at jiu-jitsu, people will immediately run to the comments and start talking about steroids, which please definitely do that because all comments help me beat that evil algorithm monster, so comment away. But it's more than just the juice. When everyone is on the juice, just being on juice is not enough to win. Everyone in baseball was juicing in the 90s and in the 2000s, but not everyone was hitting home runs like Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds. I'd prefer if no one in jiu-jitsu was on steroids, but because basically everyone is, you can't say that just because he's on steroids, Gordon Ryan is good. It's a lot more than that. One of the biggest things that makes Gordon Ryan so good is his brain. He has this ability that you cannot teach. It's just something you have, the ability to recall the tiniest bit of information about a specific subject. There is a reason that Gordon Ryan can put out BJ Fanatics instructional after instructional after instructional, and it's because within his brain are so many details about every possible position and submission in jiu-jitsu, and he can recall them very quickly. The ability to recall the tiniest details about a position and then implement those details into your match as it's happening live is basically a superpower. It's not something everyone can do. All great grapplers are great in all positions. This is true, but with Gordon Ryan, it's like next level. Every single position he is great in and knows all the finest, tiniest, littlest details that he needs to know to make that position work for him. And like when you look at Gordon's top game, it's not about explosive athletic passing, it's methodical, and a lot of times he doesn't even commit to a pass. He just attacks enough to make his opponent work and recover and prevent the pass from happening. A lot of times if you're trying to pass someone's guard and you commit to a pass and they recover and they're working really hard to prevent you from passing, a lot of the times you end up back in a more neutral position than where you started the pass that you attempted. But for Gordon, once he advances to a good position, he very, very rarely goes back to a neutral position. He almost always stays in that good position. So like here, he's trying to knee cut and he threatens a pass, but Galvo works really hard to prevent it, which burns a lot of Galvo's energy. Eventually, Gordon works this methodical method of slowly advancing and draining energy from Galvo, and then when it's time for Galvo to defend the submission, he's got no energy left to do so, and Gordon wins the match. We just saw the same thing in the Gaudio match. Gordon has dominant top control and never goes back down the hierarchy of top positions unless it's something that he chooses to do. Once we hit the finish, Gaudio looks gassed and Gordon looks fresh and hits a beautiful armbar. It's because he's not overcommitting to his passes that Gordon never allows his opponent to make enough space to get back to a more neutral position. Gordon is content to attempt a pass, but knows he can always settle back into this spot that he's already gained. And on bottom, it's the exact opposite. Gordon's guard retention is really fucking good, but what you see him do a lot is the opposite of what he does on top. He forces people to restart from a neutral position, and then he plays his guard game how he wants or how he's comfortable with against that opponent. When he's on top, he never lets the person reset to a neutral position, but when he's on bottom, that's exactly what he does over and over. He forces people to reset. Gordon's leg lock game has been a big part of his career. It remains a big part of his career, and I would argue that changes the way people play top game against Gordon. Gordon came up at a time when the Danaher Death Squad was just taking over jiu-jitsu with this newfangled leg lock system, and guys like Eddie Cummings, please come back. He was just steamrolling everyone and leg locking everyone, and that became a part of Gordon's game. Look at Gordon Ryan's match with Nicky Rod at ADCC. Nicky Rod was playing more from space and obviously did not want to get pulled into Gordon's guard / leg lock game. You have to be aware of the monster threat that Gordon possesses, which is his leg locks. Give a man a reputation for being an early riser and he can sleep till noon. Give a man a reputation of being good at leg locks and people will play their top game differently. I think Mark Twain's quote was a little snappier, but you get my point. All of these things combined, Gordon's mental game and understanding of jiu-jitsu, his leg locks, his top game, his ability to retain his guard and force people to reset, and yes, the inclusion of supplements of questionable legality. They all combine to make Gordon the best grappler on the planet. Some guys have 2 or 3 of these attributes and are champions, but not everyone has all of them in the way that Gordon Ryan does. Let me know what you think in the comments. What is Gordon's biggest attribute? Is there anyone now who you think can beat Gordon? I'm interested to hear what you think, and I love reading the comments about potential matchups, so fire away. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video.